Even though I've taught geometry for 30 years, I know students don't ask all their questions in class. So I went to ChatGPT and I asked, what do students from everywhere ask it about angle pair problems? I took the top 4 questions and we're going to go over them now because I think you're going to be doing this week in week 3 of your geometry class. Geometry teachers don't have to follow a certain schedule to how they teach, and schools didn't even all start at the same time. So this might not be your week 3, but you're going to be doing this at some point. Last week, you would have been introduced to angle pairs, complementary, supplementary, all that kind of stuff. But this week, the difficulty level is going to get kicked up a notch. So let's go through all this so you will not be confused when you see it happening in your class. So the first question, how do I know whether to add or set them equal? Well, that's why you got to know the definitions a little bit. When you look at this first diagram, these 2 angles right here are complementary. See the 90-degree mark? That means this side is 90 degrees too. So if you add them together, they're going to be equal to 90 degrees. So that means that's an add. These 2, this is called a linear pair. That's also called supplementary, but in geometry we use linear pair more because they have a shared side, and when you add them together, it forms a straight line of 180 degrees. So this one you add together as well. Okay, the third one down here, these 2 angles are vertical angles. They're directly across from each other. They will always be equal. And this diagram, that doesn't really have a rule like 90 or 80 or anything. The question you're going to see with something like this is probably going to be just an angle addition problem. And you're going to be given the whole, and you take A plus B, and you equal to the total that they give you as well. Now, let's look at a couple of problems just to make sure it's there. Now, so you know I'm not working out a lot of problems in this particular video. All these problems I have in a video that I'll link at the end just to keep this one flowing. These 2 are complementary, so you add them. And that would be how this one starts. These 2 equal to each other, subtract 1 from both sides. And then you guys keep going, but you can also watch me do it later. Okay, the second question. How do I know which angles in this crazy diagram I'm supposed to use? So I went and found one that has a lot of angles. All right, if you look at it carefully, you've got X here and some Y's down here. So it's a good idea to try to keep those separate. So let's look at the X part. If I just highlight this, I highlighted the 33 because that's vertical from here. So I can use vertical angles, and that's how I picked them out. When I was looking at the X's, I ignored the Y's. So the setup would be this, and then we're going to look at the Y's. Well, I picked the 33 here because this Y here and this Y here, this angle is not a linear pair because it doesn't make 180 degrees. But if I add the 33 to it, I'm getting a straight line. So I'm going to call this a linear pair in quotations because it's 3. It's a linear triplet. It works. So you add those things together and set it equal to 180. Question 3, I found X. Why isn't that the answer? So I did one completely like how I think somebody would have been doing it. And they ended up with an X equal to -4, but that would be wrong. And the reason is they didn't ask you just to solve for X. Solving for X isn't the wrong thing to do. That is absolutely the right thing to do. But the question is asking you to find the angle of FGC, which is FGC is this angle right here. So in order to do that, you would have to plug that in. I'll just go ahead and finish this one. And so the actual answer is the measurement 30 degrees by plugging in the -4 into that X plus 34. And question number 4. How do I know if my answer even makes sense? I know nobody likes to do it, but you got to check your work if you're not sure, if you want to make sure it's correct. So I'm just going to put, here's a 2x and here's an x minus 9, and they added them together and set them equal to 90, which is the correct way to start. So if that's right, we should get 2 numbers when we plug it in that add up to 90. So the first piece right here is 54, and then you do x minus 9 and you get 18. Add those 2 together, and that's not going to be 90. So this isn't going to work. So they made a mistake somewhere in here. I see it right here. To go from 90 to 81, they subtracted 9, but this already is a minus 9 right here. So that should have been added, which would make this 99. and then divide that by 3, you get the answer of 33. That's your preview of week 3. There is my lesson on this stuff here. These harder questions like this that I showed you here, I redid them completely beginning to end, and I'll link that here as well so you can see that. Later this week, I'm also going to upload another video in this same topic, because right now, if you're watching this on the day I upload, it's Sunday, and you probably haven't seen these problems yet. By the end of the week, you're going to have some homework in this. So I'll upload again when you're into it deep and trying to figure out what's going on. Also, let me know if this is helpful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at this next video. Bye.